Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is Catherine with A Perfect Place to Start, and today we're going to be making 8 vintage DIYs using one window cling sheet from the Dollar Tree. So let's jump in. So the first thing we're going to make is these ornaments, and we're going to start off using this window cling sheet from the Dollar Tree, and then these ornaments actually came from Hobby Lobby, but they were half off, so the 6 ornaments together cost $2.50. And so we're just going to start out by painting these with some white Waverly chalk paint, and then using our antique wax to paint the top of the ornament, and then we're going to distress the entire ornament to give it the vintage look. So I wiped out my brush really good before I started doing the inside of the ornament, and then I'm going to go back and do the edges and then just sort of bring those edges in so it's heavier distressed on the outside and not so much on the inside. And so now we are ready. We're going to take one of the window clings, and we're going to use some Mod Podge, and we're just going to Mod Podge our window cling onto our ornament. I was looking at my paintbrushes and I was thinking I really need to ask for new paintbrushes for Christmas this year. What is something on your wish list for Christmas this year? Let me know in the description box below. When you first put your window cling down, you have a little bit of room to kind of move it around before it dries in there. Once it dries, it's pretty stuck on there. So if you don't like the way that it is, you can reposition it, but you just have a limited time to do that. So after we get that one glued on, we're ready to kind of move on to the other ones, and we're going to make all 6 of these into ornaments, all using the window clings from this one set. So this mailbox one, I actually kind of pieced together. So I put the mailbox on, and then I decided some of the littler pieces of the holly need to go kind of around the top of the mailbox. So I kind of glue those together in a pattern that I like. You totally wouldn't have to do that. If you're looking at my ornament, you can see that some of this window cling is hanging off of the bottom. I don't cut it off right away. I leave it there until I'm ready with all 6 ornaments, because some of them have to be cut anyway. So I'm going to cut them all at the same time. So I'm ready to assemble the rest of the ornaments, and I just pick off some of the window clings that I like, and then I kind of pair them together and I get them all glued on there, and then we're ready for the next step. So once they're all glued on and they're dry, I'm ready to cut off the excess parts of the window cling. And so my reindeer, he's going to be missing his legs, but I actually the reindeer ends up being my favorite ornament out of this whole group. But they don't have to be perfect. They're supposed to be vintage, so if you trim a little bit here and a little bit there, that's okay. That's what kind of gives it its quirky vintage feel. Now you could have totally trimmed these before you glued them onto the ornaments. I chose not to do that just because I wanted it to kind of be very flush with the ornament, but you could totally do it and then glue them on if you didn't want to cut around them after you put them on the ornament. So here's the final look of all of them, and I have to say these are some of my most favorite ornaments I have ever made. I did go ahead and add a jute bow to the reindeer. It was just a simple bow that I glued on, and I think it added such a high-end touch to these. But let me know in the description box which one of these ornaments was your favorite. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm Catherine with A Perfect Place to Start. I love to do seasonal decor, trash to treasure, Dollar Tree DIYs. So if that's your kind of thing, I would love it if you hit that subscribe button. I also have Instagram. I would love it if you followed me over there. I love to post my DIYs there, and in my stories, you can follow me along in kind of my everyday life. So we're on to project number 2, and this is using that same sticker sheet that we were using before, and in the picture I do have 2 here, but I do not use the other one. I am sticking only with the sheet that we used for our ornaments and this little autumn sign that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. So I'm just going to paint this autumn sign with a couple coats of the white Waverly chalk paint, and then I'm going to do that same technique that I did with the ornaments, and I'm just going to dry brush over this entire sign lightly, and then I go a little bit darker, and then I blend with my paper towel until I get kind of the desired vintage look that I'm going for. I do all 4 sides as well. If you don't have chalk paint, any paint would really do here. You could use white acrylic paint, and then my sister-in-law taught me a fun technique where you can take brown acrylic paint, add water, shake it up, and it works just as well as a stain to give you that antique look. So if you do not have chalk paint on hand or feel like it's too pricey, there are totally other options that you can use to make this as inexpensive as possible. So we're going to take this big snowman with the tree, and we're going to just do the same technique. You can see I have some white paint there. I got a little bit too impatient, and I laid it down there when the paint was still dry just to see if it would fit, and so some paint got on there. But no big deal, it's going to fit on there just fine. I did go ahead and trim the bottom of this one before I put it on there because the tree was super tall and did not fit on this sign. So I'm just going to glue it down really well, and then I decided that up at the top there is a little bit of white space there, so I take another one of those jute bows and I just tie it into a shoelace bow and glue it above the snowman's head. he is, and this DIY was so simple. He could fit into a tiered tray, or he could just sit next to your tree, or he could just be on a shelf somewhere. So we are ready for project number 3, and we are going to be making one more ornament, and he is our last window cling on this same set of window clings. And so we're going to take the tower blocks from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to glue 3 of them together and then glue, so it's going to be 3 rows of 3. So all together you're going to glue 9 of the tower blocks together. And then I'm just using the exact same technique that I've used on all of the other projects today. I'm going to paint it with white Waverly chalk paint and then go over it with some of the antique wax. My blocks do not end up getting glued together quite like I wanted them to. There is a little bit of gap there. I decide later though, after I get the paint on and the window cling on, that I really like how it looks because it does still give it that vintage feel. So just be careful when you're gluing your blocks together. I wasn't looking on the other side, and that's where I ended up having these big gaps. So we're ready to glue our toy soldier on, and we're just using that same technique with the Mod Podge, and we're just going to glue him right in the middle of the tower blocks. And then there was one little bit of berries left, and we're just going to glue those berries over on top of his head. So to finish him up, we're just going to take some more of that jute twine, and I go ahead and glue a tiny bow, again a shoelace bow, onto the front of him, kind of where his where he's holding something. And then I'm going to use that same twine and I'm going to glue it on the back of the ornament for the hanger. So here is how he turned out. I think he's adorable, and I think the jute bow adds so much character to him on this ornament. So thanks for joining me today. I'm so glad that you came by. Let me know down in the description box which one of these projects was your favorite. As always, wherever you are in your journey is a perfect place to start, and I will see you guys in the next video.